two things happened this week that were quite honestly embarrassing. Embarrassing for me, at least. And I've talked to a handful of other people who have said one of them has been embarrassing for them as well. The first thing that has been embarrassing for me this week has been this growth on my forehead, something I hadn't had probably for, I don't know, 40 years. And the second one was, well, Thursday's presidential debate. I'm taking, this is my opinion. This is not representative of the best of U.S. investors, Kerry or Mark or any of the tribe members, but it's my opinion. It was embarrassing. It's embarrassing we have gotten to this point in the economy, in our leadership, specifically in the craziness in Washington, D.C., and now how we are being perceived by the rest of the world. I mean, in a way, we're sort of, you know, a lame duck, and we're out in the pond, and there's an eagle flying around looking for lunch. And that's how I sort of see it at this point. But this week, during the calls on the Platinum Swing Trading call with Mark and I and the tribe of the Platinum channel guys and gals, along with Kerry's call at 3 o'clock on Friday as well, the overall sentiment has been like, we're in a bit of a questionable period of time right now, if you haven't noticed. And one of the parts of the Platinum call that I'm going to feature here in a second, Bob gets into the economy he's seen in the Northeast and also, you know, in the Florida area, which is where I'm at, and he brings up some great points. We then get into a little bit more in depth of what's happening to the middle class and how the middle class in this country is somewhat following the path that we saw prior to the Great Depression. The separation of the super wealthy, the wealthy, and the poor, and the middle class in the meantime gets crushed. Something similar to that. We talk about that as well, along with our projections of where we potentially will see this market going over the next 6 months. So please ignore this bump on my forehead. It hopefully will be gone next week. But this segment that you're about to see is really great. It gets into the heart of what the American people are experiencing from the perspective of the tribe. Check it out.
What I wanted to interject here, and hi everybody, is that there's a lot of changes. Because of my business, I get to see a lot of different things that a lot of other people don't see. So these migrants coming in, I'm not here to bash migrants or the people coming in through the borders and everything, but it does have an effect on the market and what's happening. These migrants, if you notice, they are taking all the DoorDash, the Grubhub jobs, all the foreigners that are legal foreigners that are here, the illegal foreigners are taking their jobs. They're working for, I'll call it a pimp, okay, that has an account with Uber, an account with Grubhub, all these different delivery firms, and then they're sticking them in cars and they're delivering your food. If you talk to them, you will find out that they don't talk any English, okay? Very, very little English. They are taking over the lower class jobs in our country, right? And the same thing is starting to happen in the warehousing too. I was among some other colleagues, and we were talking about help and what they're paying and what I'm paying. And they are also employing these migrants that are coming in because they're paying them off the books and they're paying them cheap money. It's crazy.
Well,
So,
also, Bob, they've already been in the housing and building industry, try to get
oh
a roof
yeah,
on,
yeah,
and I think when my roof got done after the last storm, they were really nice kids, but they were all from Guatemala
yeah.
and they didn't
No,
speak
they're
any English.
they're good people. Some,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I guess there's bad ones too, just like anywhere. But there's a real shift happening, and they're trying to survive, and they're working for cheap money, and everybody that, you know, the guy picked you up in Uber or is a foreigner and he doesn't have a driver's license, or he has a car that's uninsured, whatever it may be. But there's a big shift happening in the workforce in the lower tier. But yes, to answer your question, the upper enchilada is not feeling any pain. I'm not feeling any pain. It doesn't. If the steak is $100, it's not going to change my life. Do I want to pay $100? No, I don't want to pay $100. So you choose, right? And that's the same for you, Mark, and several other people here. But the ones that are really getting squeezed are the lower and the middle class is getting crushed because they can only afford so much, right? They got the kids, they got the cars, you know, they got the mortgage payment. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I agree with Walgreens, I agree with Levi's. The economy sucks, and that's really the bottom line. And unless you have something that you're lucky to have.
Assets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Assets and things that you can fall back on, then you don't have an issue. But
Yeah.
ones living, you know, in the middle class that are making so much money and they're eating that money up every month, and you know, the additional cost of food, electric, car payments. I mean, I just bought a car for my daughter, right? It was a Chevy Traverse. I bought her a car. The goddamn car was, I mean, they just redesigned it. They didn't want it to come down. I went to 3 different dealers. I got about $1,500 off the price. The car cost me 60 grand, you know?
Wow.
Chevy Traverse. And I'm
But
sitting
see, that's in inflationary dollars, Bob. So actually, you know,
yeah,
when you count that and then your purchasing power's gone down, it really didn't cost you that much.
right.
Isn't
But I didn't finance it. The financing for someone that has high credit score was 7.5%. I said, I'm not going to finance it. I'll just buy it at this point. I'm done. But this, you know, how can the actual middle class afford that? What, they're going to put it out 70 months to pay a car?
yeah, that's what they do.
Well,
That's crazy.
I mean, I
You-
think
you-
here's the thing. This is correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if you look back prior to the Great Depression, this wealth divide and this middle class crushing happened. And it's the wealthier get wealthier and the poorer get poorer, and all of a sudden it collapses. And you look at what's happening. I mean, my wife came home last night, and she said, "Son of a bitch, I can't get out of the grocery store without spending $70." My wife never says that, has never said that. And now she sees it and she's feeling the effects of it. And she's like, "This is ridiculous." And I'm like, right, it is. And I think you're right, Bob. I mean, they are crushing the middle class, and that's what
Yeah.
powers this country,
Yep.
you know?
Exactly. Yep.
And unfortunately, the pendulum always swings back.
Mhm.
So the question is, how fast will it swing back? And then how fast will it normalize?
Not fast enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been talking, you know, for weeks, if not months, you know, how, you know, if this bubble pops, you know, in
It's-
real estate and assets in general, and
It will
how
fall.
if you have
It's popping.
if you have cash, you're going to be like Warren Buffett. You're going to be able to scoop up a lot of
That's
assets
right.
at
Yeah.
a very good price.
The 2 houses behind me are in a price war. One, so this has been a month and a half. This is going on. Excuse me. One has been on the market for a month. They started at 825. They've adjusted twice. They're now at 759. The house next to it started at 920 about 2.5 months ago, and now they're down around 825. It's like this massive race to the bottom, and they're trying to sell. They're trying to get out.
And they're trying to hold it up, and the market is for, because guys like me, I want to buy another house. I'm looking for a house where I am now in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been looking, but they're so inflated that I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to wait until either I find a foreclosure that I want, or someone's going to just say, I need to get out of this house. Here's this, and drop their pants, because that's the market it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we're seeing, you're leading right into what I was going to talk about, and that's, you know, the consumer is not strong, and it's really like Bob said, in the lower and middle class, they're struggling, and you can see it in retail sales. In, you know, the U.S. Census Department said there was a 1.3% year-over-year drop in retail sales volume over the past quarter, following a 4% decrease in the first quarter. And they say that's hinting at a possible recession. Well, I don't know if you guys follow, but there's an economist named David Rosenberg, and you can see him every once in a while. I like watching him, and he came out and he said, well, the weakness in the consumer can now be considered a trend. Early signs of a consumer recession finally are coming to the forefront. And then you see this week, University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Survey reveals a significant bifurcation of wealth in society. Higher income consumers are less affected by high prices and own assets that have rocketed higher over the past several years. In contrast, middle and lower income groups continue to struggle, reporting that high cost of living has significantly impacted their financial well-being. So if we break this down, okay, even people who make over $100,000 a year are hurting, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. More than a third of consumers in their survey said they were concerned about making ends meet in the next 6 months, compared to 28% from a year ago. The share of those reporting concern over the next 7 to 12 months also climbed. Among those able to pay their bills in full in April, more than a quarter said they worry about the next 6 months, up from a fifth the year before. Higher earners were the most likely of the income groups to be in this category. About 30% of those making at least $150,000 a year reported being concerned about their finances in the next 6 months. More than 2/3 of respondents took some kind of action to cope with increased financial stress over the last year, such as cutting back on spending, skipping monthly bills, or taking an additional job. More than 14% of those earning $150,000 and up say they withdrew money early from their retirement savings. When asked about their ability to cover their expenses, 23% of respondents indicated they couldn't pay some or any of their bills in April. That's up 2.7% from a year earlier. Among the more affluent consumers, the share have trouble more than double, from 3.4 to 6.9%. So
Wow.
even the higher income people are showing problems.
Wow.
Let me show you a chart. Let me show you a chart here. If Trent will
Wow.
give me permission here, it's pretty cool. Well, it's not cool, but. And this is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. Okay, 5,000 U.S. consumers. How U.S. consumers managed financial stress over the last 12 months. Cutting discretionary spending, for instance, entertainment or dining out. So this is overall 43.1%. And here's high income people.
Well, you
over
see that. You go to the restaurants, you see that. That's true statement. I see it.
No, you're true. I mean, I go in, like you said it before, Bob. And we were talking about this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to a restaurant and get a table now.
And it's worse now.
Yeah. But the prices are still up.
Yeah, how can they survive, right?
Yeah.
You think about it. The cost of food, cost of operating.
Here's cutting essential spending, for instance, food or medical care, 23.5% of the overall, and 17.1% of the people making over $150,000. Borrowing from friends or family, okay? Paying less or skipping other debts or monthly bills, 8.8% of people over $150,000. Borrowing more, for instance, from credit cards or payday loans, 14.1% overall, 10.2% of people of households making over $150,000. Taking an additional job, 15.3% of people make over $150,000. Okay, taking money out of retirement, 14.3% of people. Okay, over or households. This is astounding to me.
Yeah,
okay?
These are huge numbers.
It's
Huge.
exactly what Bob was talking about, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, but do you see this in the media? I don't.
Yeah, but when does the storm come? I mean,
Well,
it's,
there's the question. How is
right?
this being held
When?
up?
When does it blow up, implodes, right?
I think
what are the
Bob,
indicators?
I think a lot of well, we do have AI, and I'm going to talk about this later. That the whole AI,
But
push
Paul, the indicators are here.
has caused
Those
yeah,
are the indicators today.
it caused
It's not happening.
the
All right.
highest market cap companies to do well. And I'll show you the data. And Trent and I talked about this earlier. So anyway, I think, Bob, it happens when you start to see uh, the unemployment really go up, and they finally get the reports right, and they can't. You have the household survey.
That started.
Yeah, it
That
has.
started.
But
I mean,
is
ahead.
it more of an event? So, like, for instance, when the housing market collapsed, that was an event. Bear Stearns announces they're collapsing. They're having issues. And then it fed into the rest of the, decline and it just sort of snowballed.
That was because people couldn't pay their mortgages.
Right. So my question is it it's not
Because they
a
lost their
bleed out,
jobs.
but it's an event.
Right.
Something's going to come out. And I don't know if because the government's not going to report data that's going to work against them right now.
Mhm.
Well,
So it's not that.
They do, but the headline that comes out this month is high and everyone's happy. Then they revise it next month and you never see it.
Right. But I mean, for this event to happen, it has to be outside of the control of the reports in a sense.
So, I mean, Mark and Trent, when you say an event, right? What was the event back then? They were handing out money like crazy, but
Right.
sort of the same thing. They call them liar loans, right? They walk into your house, say, "Oh yeah, I need another 50 grand. All right, here, just sign here, and then they just send you the money, put it right in your account, right?
Well,
That's not available today, right?
Bob, then
My point was that what they're doing now is they're taking their money from their 401k. So they're stressing that out. Now they won't have, if they're taking from their 401k, it's like the last area to take money from, that they have to pay their credit cards down so they can revolve it again, right?
Right.
and you know what's come back, Bob? The HELOC loan, taking money out of your property, your house.
Yeah, I hear the advertisements now. It's like
Yep.
easy,
It's like '08. It's like '08 all over.
Yeah. So I guess the question, how long will they kick this down the road? I just think it's more of this will continue on until something of significance. And I don't think it's a report. I think it's a failure of some level. And that pushes, once the stock market gets pushed over, then all the bleeding starts when it brings in the economy bleeding as well. And I'm like, after, yesterday, I was like, there's a good chance this thing is going to not do anything other than just go up until the first of the year. And then you'll start to see some really, really significant event happen. I don't know. I think they will continue to pump this thing higher when it comes to the stock market.